Hi, I'm Rose.
Hi, I'm Alex.
Hi, I'm Chloe.
Hi, I'm Ellie.
And welcome back to This Is SSAGO, the official SSAGO podcast. First off, we just want to say a big thank you to all the people that listened to our first episode and filled out the feedback form, because it is really appreciated. Please do continue to give us feedback on how to improve the podcast, as we will take everything that you say on board, and any help is really appreciated. So in today's episode, we want to take a look back at the year 2020. We know 2020 has been full of ups and downs for everyone, but we wanted to celebrate some of our highs within SSAGO over the last year.
So the first big event of the year for SSAGO was Roman Rally back in February, which seems a long time ago now, but yeah. So lots of people went. It was down in Bath, and as you can tell from the name, it was Roman themed.
I feel like it was quite like a long journey for quite a few of us. I mean, I'm the most south and Stoke is still quite far away from Bath. How was your drive down? I know ours was quite long, but I assume yours was quite a bit longer.
I mean, I got trained to York and then it was driving with Saggy. We were one of the earlier ones to arrive just because we left at lunchtime and then got there early evening.
Yeah, I remember Kiel, we always have to leave whenever the last person's lectures are finished, and someone had a lecture until 7 p.m, and then we had to drive the minibus around, so we have to pick up the people who live on campus first, and then we drive around Newcastle, specifically Newcastle under Lyme, just so people don't get confused. We have to drive around and pick everyone up, and that takes a good hour and a half just to go around, and you're waiting for people. They're like, oh, just wait a sec, I'm kind of late. And you're like, yeah.
I got the coach down, so I left Hull at 9 in the morning, and I still arrived after Ellie did. I went via London and via Milton Keynes, which is the only way I knew where it was when Green and Rally did their bid. It took forever. And then on the way back, I ended up staying overnight in a youth hostel in London and travelled back by train the following morning and went straight to work.
I feel like that was not the best route that you could have taken, to be honest, but it's fine.
There was probably a more direct route, but I wanted it as cheap as possible, because if I'm going to pay £140 to get to Rally or whatever, I might as well go home rather than to Rally.
Was the journey to Rally worth it?
Rally was fun, especially as it was our last in-person, proper in-person national event.
I feel like it would have been good, to know that obviously you can't know that that's going to happen, but I feel like we would have treasured it a lot more. It probably would have been a bit more wild, I feel like, if everyone knew that it was their, last national event that was going to happen.
Definitely.
I just remember it being so cold. It was freezing, and waking up and all the tents were just, completely collapsed.
Oh, yeah.
It was so funny.
My tent stayed up, but it was noisy. Yeah.
I still have photos on my phone of collapsed tents and the mud. It was just the mud to get from the tents to the toilets. The little to the marquee. The amount of times I was really worried I was just going to slide down the hill into the marquee was ridiculous.
Yeah, it's at the start of the weekend you could kind of find the grassy bits no one had walked on yet, and then by the end it's just you have no option.
I feel like that was a main channel that everyone tried to avoid because it was just so swampy, but
yeah,
and it just became the whole field was like that, and you couldn't do anything.
I feel like it's a February Rally classic is the mud.
Yes,
always the mud.
It was a really good rally though.
It was a good time.
Yeah, the silent disco was good. That was a really cool idea.
Yeah, the silent disco was cool that they did both the Kaylee, because I think before they've done rallies where they've done one or the other, but to have both was really nice.
Do you know something I feel we need to mention in terms of Bath? The walk to the coaches on Saturday.
Daily exercise, that's fine.
Oh yeah.
I don't think I have ever walked so far.
It was a trek.
Uphill to the nearest town.
Thing is, I was worried because I thought we'd have to do the walk back on going back to the campsite, and I was on the pub crawl and I wasn't the drunkest person.
Oh, that would have been interesting.
I was not looking forward to it, but we didn't. We had one of the minibuses came to pick us up, so that was good.
Yeah, we got dropped back off at the top of back where we were sort of walking from, but they were doing a minibus. So some people chose to walk back. I did not. I very much hopped on the minibus and got the bus back.
I'm trying to
I
remember.
can't lie, I moaned the entire way to that coach. The
I think
entire
I
way.
walked back because we were told like it would take quite a while for the minibus, so we might as well walk because it would be just as fast. So we just went for it. But I don't really remember. That might be wrong.
I liked the layout of the campsite of like the campfire being quite far away from like where everyone was sleeping. Because I know that's been a problem before at previous rallies where the campfire is like right next to indoor accommodation, and they're like, okay, we have people trying to sleep, please be quiet now, and they're like, no, we are drunk and we are going to stay loud.
With the wind rattling the tent, you couldn't hear the campfire anyway from where we were trying to get to sleep. We could hear it was wind.
It was quite quiet anyway. At least when I was there, it was just like a small huddle around the fire
Yeah,
in the rain.
cool. So that was our first in-person event. The second one that actually happened was SSAGO Goes to Spoons.
So for those that don't know about SSAGO Goes to Spoons, it is basically, you know how you've got the app so you can send stuff to people as long as you know a table and some other spoon. Everyone in SSAGO goes to the local spoons. We use the SSAGO Secret Santa system. So everyone gets allocated someone, you send each other stuff. And except then it kind of descends into chaos, almost, of just stuff getting sent to anyone who wants things.
This was kind of like the start of like people were aware of coronavirus in the UK, so I don't think as many people went to this event, but it was still a good time.
I mean, because lots of people got corona beer, didn't they?
Yeah, I feel like the people that had us for like the Secret Santa kind of thing, they didn't give us information on what we were getting. I think someone had a clue of, oh, it's all Mexican themed. And so they just bought us loads of tequila and we were like, okay, that's definitely yours. And then, yeah, but then everyone else was like, didn't have any information. So we were just like, here's a load of food. Let's just share it between like the 5 of us that were there.
Yeah, just kind of trying to guess and go, oh yeah, someone claim it because there's going to be more stuff coming.
Yeah, I feel like that is the thing, because there's always like one person that gets not a very good, they just get like 6 bowls of peas and
yeah,
they're like, oh, I really want some substantial food. So you normally just end up sharing everything anyway.
I can't remember if it was this one or last year's one. We got tons of mushy peas.
Oh yeah, because the year before people had been kicked out of spoons for ordering too many mushy peas, and they're like, it's not.
Oh, this was the year of the vegan finger, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, I remember that. You had to like say they like made a Facebook page or something for it, didn't they? And then
people were sending Viennese fingers around because that was like the cheapest thing on the menu that you could send because they take meat.
Yeah, there was like one club that was. They were like, okay, comment on this post if you want one, and we'll send you one. And we were like, thank you, we will take those, please.
Yeah,
I think I even know what a Viennese finger is.
Like it's kind of like a custard cream, but like more fancy. I feel like
it's more crumbly than custard cream.
Yeah.
So around this time with all the lockdown was when the Discord started. Yeah, I think it was that week between all the unis starting to cancel stuff and the lockdown proper starting. I can't remember exactly when. Don't know if anyone else remembers better or.
Oh yeah, I think it started like a week, sort of the week around when lockdown started. It was either like a week after or a week before it started.
It was when I was self-isolating, so I was just stuck in my room, going a bit mental, and then Discord started like, something to focus on.
At this point, Discord kind of feels like it's been around forever. Like, I can't remember SSAGO without the Discord.
I've not really known SSAGO without the Discord.
That's true, yeah.
Because, I mean, the first time I'd met someone from a different SSAGO group was like a week before lockdown because I turned up with the Viking Rally committee to look at my house. Oh no, mid-mad, but properly to get involved with a SSAGO thing was a week before lockdown.
Yeah, it's not good timing for Duso to come back into SSAGO properly.
Oh well.
Okay, so back in April, we were all in a big national lockdown, so we were like, oh, what can we do to cheer people up? And it's not Christmas, but we decided to do a Secret Santa style thing. and we called it Random Acts of Kindness. I mean, I did not organise it at all, but we had Random Acts of Kindness where we sent a little gift to a randomly allocated person. I cannot remember what I bought my person at all, but I guess that would kind of spoil the surprise. But somebody got me a little keyring scout thing, and I believe some bracelets with 6 musical quotes on as well that I was looking at anyway. And the little keyring scout thing has sat on my desk, hanging up ever since, and it's got my name on, and it's really cute. So, if you got me that, cheers. Did anybody else take part?
I did. I think I sent someone a book based on their interests that they listed. I don't want to give it away because I'm proud I've kept it quiet so long. And I got a colouring in book. That was fun because that was like peak stress of lockdown. So it was like essay work, and I was like, oh, I'll just colour in. That was very fun. I did enjoy it.
Yeah, it was a really cool idea. I didn't take part, but yeah, it was cute.
Yeah, I feel like I didn't know it was happening until after it happened, and then I was like, oh, that's cool. I feel like it was at the time I wasn't that active on the Discord, and like because in-person things weren't happening, I wasn't particularly keeping up with the Facebook page, so I was just missed it.
It was Sophie Nicholson from Glasgow organised Random Acts of Kindness.
There we go. Thank you, Sophie, for doing that. So the next big thing after that was probably SSAGO Camps at Home. So that was in April, so it would have been at the end of April because it came out of Northumberland Scouts did Camp at Home. So that challenge was, first it was getting everyone to camp for as much of April as they could, inside or out or whatever people could do. So then we joined in for the last 2 nights of it, so it was midweek, but we did like a weekend camp for those last 2 nights to join in with all of that. So we called that SSAGO Camps at Home. And there were various things happened. There was like a scavenger hunt and virtual campfire and things like that. All the usual virtual camp stuff. But yeah, it was quite a good, not really weekend, but weekend thing.
So people that don't know, Witten is a big international camp for SSAGO members, and it was supposed to be happening in Switzerland this summer, but obviously because of coronavirus, it couldn't happen. So instead, they decided to do a week long of virtual activities. So there were lots of workshops for things and seminars on a variety of scouting type things. There was a campfire, treasure hunt, a quiz. They also did some crafting type things, I think. Yeah, I think it was quite a good time.
One of the highlights of Virtual Written was like the scavenger hunt, because you could form teams and you had to complete a series of challenges. There was like a Google Maps scavenger hunt around the campsite and one of the cities in Switzerland that they would have visited as part of Witten. So yeah, it was quite fun to do all these scavenger hunts and connect with other SSAGO people and create teams to work together on stuff.
And naturally, Longboat Crew was the best. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, new SAG and do SAG.
Yeah, for people that weren't in the Longboat Crew, because I have no idea what you're talking about because I wasn't there, and so please explain what you mean.
I guess the Longboat Crew was a joint group between new SAG and do SAG, because I don't think we quite expected so many of our members of our groups to actually sign up.
No.
So by that point, we had quite a lot of people on one team, and we just did really well.
Yeah, there was a small group of like a few from each club who were active on SSAGO Discord, so we thought it would probably just be us and maybe a couple of others. And then suddenly loads joined. It's like, oh, we've got a big team.
It worked out. We did really well.
Yeah.
I did an amazing Photoshop of everyone on a Viking boat.
Oh, that's true. That was for the scavenger hunt, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, team photo.
Yeah. Didn't we like keep getting more members, so we had to keep adding faces in or something?
Yep. It kept going on and on. So yeah, that was definitely, that's one of my personal highlights of the year, just because that was quite fun.
Yeah, that was good.
Another thing that happened in July was postcard swap, which was part of the Wales badge, I'm pretty sure, or something like that.
It was definitely Wales, I can't remember which, yeah.
Yeah, and as part of it, one of the clauses was that you had to send a postcard to someone. And so, yeah, me and my person actually continued to send each other postcards for like at least a few afterwards, and then I think we stopped.
Oh, that's so sweet.
It's kind of hard to like continue a conversation because you forget what you were talking about. And then if someone doesn't send any questions in their postcard, then you can't really respond because otherwise you're just telling them a load of stuff that they might not find interesting. But yeah, that was fun. I don't think I could actually find a postcard, so I had to like make one. I just cut out a piece of card and then drew a picture on it and was like, cool, put a stamp. But yeah, that was a good time.
I went down Humber Street in Hull and got a postcard, and I sent it to my person, but I didn't get a postcard back.
Oh. Yeah, I think they didn't have you, and so unless they specifically wanted to send you back one, they had to like ask around. They like messaged every single person that they like put it on the Discord. They put a picture of my postcard and was like, hey, who sent this postcard? I really want to send one back to you. And then I was like, oh, it was me.
Oh, were we not meant to sign it? I think I signed mine. But yeah, I just didn't get one. Like, whoever had me didn't send me a postcard.
Oh
no.
Aww.
I think I moved flat as well, so they might have done it. Might have just gone to my old house.
Yeah.
Who knows at this point?
Something we had to get around this year was doing reps. Normally, reps is a thing where at a rally, someone on committee for a club will go and they'll discuss with other clubs what they want to happen within SSAGO. But obviously, because there weren't any rallies, they couldn't do reps in person, so they had to do it on a Zoom meeting. I feel like it actually went quite well. I think people listen to each other more when it's on a Zoom call than when it's in person, because it can sometimes be quite rowdy and lots of people talking at the same time when it happens in person. People are less likely to ask questions, which I don't know if it's necessarily a good or a bad thing, but definitely cuts down the meeting length, makes it shorter.
So in October, we had a lot of SSAGO Freshers events. If you want to hear more about how they went, listen to our first episode where we did a recap of the Freshers events that happened. So in November, it was Builder Rally, which is SSAGO's first virtual rally, and it was ran by Southampton SSAGO.
The first hurdle of Builder Rally was getting the rally boxes, was it not?
Yeah, everyone loves Hermes, right?
I mean, mine wasn't too bad. I'm just not sure how well, because at that time, because it was locked down, so where I live, normally you'd go into the office to get your post, so they'd stop doing that and basically were doing deliveries of post to your room every day or so. So I had to wait for quite a while to get my box because I just wasn't in when they were bringing it. So I don't know if Hermes was bad or if I missed the office loads. So yeah,
I feel like they did quite well with sort of short notice. I feel like they kept being told, oh yeah, let's just keep going, assuming it's going to happen. Obviously, beginning of the year, we thought COVID might take like 6 months and then be completely over with. And obviously that hasn't happened. So they did quite well because they didn't know if it was happening in person or not in person until quite late. And so they had to do a lot of the planning sort of fairly close to the event. But yeah, I mean, I had a good time. The Kaylee was good. They made us all go into different groups. And as a group, we had to make up a Kaylee. And then they gave us some music and they were like, cool, create your own Kaylee to this. But obviously, Kayleys are kind of hard to do over Zoom. And so it was just a load of people being like, I don't know what we're doing. We're doing something. And then everyone being out of time. And then, yeah, it was a good time.
My group from the Kaylee, we were given some Kaylee music and we were like, nah. So we did it to Britney Spears' Toxic. And it was wonderful.
That's amazing.
I still maintain that we should have won the Kaylee.
At least you actually did the Kaylee. One of the groups just didn't do it and was like, yep, we did not. They had like half an hour to create Kaylee, and then in that half an hour they didn't create anything, and they were like, yep, cool, this is what we did. We didn't do anything. That's fine.
They showed a video of an old Kaylee.
Yeah.
The highlight for me was that I also lived with another SSAGO person, so it wasn't just me sat.
Yeah.
We made a fire, but I don't think that wasn't because of Builder Rally. That was because we had a fire pit.
That's quite good.
So throughout the year we did a lot of swaps, but one of the most recent ones that we've done is SSAGO Secret Santa. This was organised by an indie member, I believe Amelia. So if we signed up, we were allocated a swap and we had to answer a few questions about ourselves. So we then sent off the present to who we got as our swap. And then assuming most of us have probably received our presents from our Secret Santas now. I'm waiting till Christmas to open mine.
So at the time of recording, this is before Christmas. So when you hear this, when this actually goes out in February, this may seem a bit odd and out of date, but this is why.
I really liked my present. Thank you very much. Haven't opened it yet, though.
I mean, yeah, because I only posted mine today because Royal Mail took ages delivering part of it to me to then send.
I just sent it direct to mine. I was like,
yeah,
we're cutting out the middleman. We're sending it direct.
It would have made sense, but I haven't received mine either because the other person sending me some things had the same issue. So
yeah, I think I managed to send mine off, and they've received it, and I got mine the other day. That was a fun surprise because I've been ordering stuff online for family members, and suddenly I'm like, I didn't think I ordered something, and then opened it up, and it's like, oh, from SSAGO Secret Santa. So I'm very happy about that.
My issue currently is I'm part of several Secret Santas, so I don't know what has come from what, and I'm not opening anything until Christmas Day because I'm not going home, and so I want things to open on Christmas Day. So I don't know what has come from what. I can't say whether I've received the SSAGO Secret Santa because we've got to tick the box to say we've received it because I don't know who it's from. So I'm going to have to message mine and be like, did you get it from a place called Preston Sweets? Because if not, it's from someone else.
Step into Christmas originally started out with someone, I think Ed from Loughborough SSAGO.
Yeah, it was Ed.
Googie!
Scoogie. Yeah, he briefly mentioned running a Christmas event would be quite fun. And so people were like, thank you for volunteering, Ed. You're now running it. It was originally planned for just like an afternoon on like a Saturday, just an afternoon event. And then it quickly turned out that loads and loads of people wanted to help out, which was really appreciated. And then it became like pretty much a 48-hour kind of thing of people permanently on the same Zoom all that time. We had like quite a range of activities, the classic crafts and baking. Some people actually cooked a Christmas dinner on the weekend, which was quite cool. And yeah, it was a great time.
I was horrifically bad at GeoGuessr.
But you're from the north, shouldn't you?
You see, the thing is, because I'm from the northeast, I just know, I don't need to know it on a map. I just know, I know where it is. I don't need to place it specifically on a map.
I know what you mean. Like, there's places around my local area which I know how to get there on the bus, but if I'm looking at it on a map, I'd have to properly think about where it is in connection with other things.
Yeah. Do you want to know how many streets I can name in Newcastle? 2. And I went to sixth form there for 2 years.
I mean, yeah, I can probably only name about 4, and I've lived there for a few years, so yeah. And finally,
cue sad music.
A eulogy for all of the events that did not happen and are not to be.
Sheffield did host a virtual ball this year and were planning to do it in person again in 2021, but unfortunately they've had to cancel it. Very sad. Rest in peace.
The first rally casualty of COVID was, unfortunately, Back to Basics Survival Rally. It was meant to be in July in Gloucester. They postponed it to September, and then COVID just got worse, so we still weren't allowed to camp, so it got cancelled.
Lastly, not a SSAGO event, but a scouting and guiding event that quite a few of SSAGO members were planning on going to was Eurojam, which was supposed to be in Poland because they didn't win the World Scout Jamboree bid. So they were like, oh, we're going to do our own thing and run our own Eurojam. And many of us were very excited for it, but unfortunately it has been cancelled. Sad, sad music.
And so, to cheer us up after hearing about all of the events that didn't happen, let's go on to a game. So, we gathered some unsuspecting SSAGO members who just wanted to enjoy stepping Christmas and recorded them playing some games. So, here's that now.
Hello, and welcome to Who in SSAGO is Lying. I'm your host, Jack. I'm typically the producer of This Is SSAGO, but they've got me out in front of the microphone for this. So, today I have 4 SSAGOers, all bidding to be the best liar. The aim of this game is similar to the game 2 of These People Are Lying by Tom Scott on his YouTube channel. 3 of our contestants have picked a Wikipedia article, and one of our contestants is going to choose one of those articles and ask the rest of them what it is all about. The thing is, only one of our contestants knows what that article is about, and the rest of them will have to try and lie about it. Let's meet our contestants. First up, Nina.
Hi, I'm Nina. I'm from Birmingham.
Then we have Sam.
Hi, I'm Sam. I'm from De Montfort.
Then we have Samir.
Hi, I'm Samir. I'm from Nottingham.
And finally, Connie.
I'm, I guess, the most international participant. I'm currently in Germany on the SSAGO register. I'm still part of a club in Ireland, Maynooth. And now I'm also a member of a Dutch club in Eindhoven, the LED Stern.
Okay, guys. So, are we ready to play Who in SSAGO is Lying? The first guesser, I guess we can call them, is going to be Samir. And Samir, the article which you need to ask the other questions about is going to be Elizabeth Philpott.
Okay. Start with Sam. Who's Elizabeth Philpott?
Elizabeth Philpott is a paleontologist and from about, like early 1800s or something. She vibed with Mary Anning, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Connie?
Elizabeth Philpott is an engineer. She worked with signal processing, especially medical stuff, like extracting a pulse signal from a video, which you can use to monitor people without putting contacts on their skin. Yeah, she was one of the people who pioneered the techniques to extract that from a video.
Okay.
And other signal processing applications.
Interesting. How about you, Nina? Who is this person?
This person is a famous author. She wrote the Throne of Glass series and the Court of Thorns and Roses series. They're a young adult novel that are very, very long, and they're very hard to get through as someone who's read most of them.
Okay. Sam, back at you. Elizabeth Philpott, what are they? Where are they from?
So she's from London, I believe. She owned a museum for dinosaur fossils, or she certainly sold to them. That's why she was friends with Mary Anning, who dug up a lot of said fossils from Lyme regis, and she bought what was the name? Ichthyosaur fossil off Mary Anning for 23 quid back then, which was 1820-ish.
Interesting. Connie, what can you tell me about this lady and their origins?
She was born in Nottingham, and then she did her PhD at a university in Paris, and now she is working at the university that I'm studying at, that is Eindhoven, and that's how I found the article. Okay. And she's also one of my lecturers. I have a module with her, and she's really good at explaining things.
Nice. Okay, Nina, what would you say?
She is an American author. I'm not sure exactly where she's from, but yeah, she does a lot of tours around America. Yeah.
Okay, Sam, why should I care about this person?
Why should you care about this person? She she, pushed for. In fact, her and Mary Anning are probably the first famous scientific women. Like, they are the founding mothers of female power. Excluding like Cleopatra and queens and stuff. They were commoners. They were peasants. They were very poor, and so to be renowned paleontologists, scientists, it was quite an achievement in the 1800s.
Oh, okay. What about you, Connie? Why should I care?
Because it makes healthcare more accessible. Like you can do remotely, can monitor people's vital signs, their heart rate variability. She's also researching on finding ways to measure the blood pressure, but that is more difficult. And also in a hospital environment, it makes it less obtrusive. So, for example, if you do a sleep study, you might not get a good overview of the person's overall health if you put over them and it stresses them out and they'll sleep differently. But if you monitor it with a video camera, that means they'll sleep almost like at home. And also for people at like low acuity units, you don't need to put electrodes on them. You don't need to put a sensor on their finger. It's just like a lot more comfortable for people.
Okay. Interesting. And Nina, why should I care about this person?
You shouldn't really. I mean, she's won lots of awards. She's very, very well acclaimed in the literary world. As scientists, I don't have too much recognition for the literary world, but still, she's achieved a lot. And I think she's only in like her late 20s or something. So like for that, she's done quite well.
Fair dues. I'll ask one more round of questions, and I think we can see what the result is from that. Finally, Sam, is this person a Burger King or a McDonald's person?
Oh, she's probably a Burger King person, but her friend Marianne is probably a McDonald's person. One of those relationships.
Okay, Connie, is this person a Guinness or a cider person?
Hey, cider. I can't base it off anything, but just from the impression I got from the lectures, I'd say she's a cider person.
Okay. Okay, and Nina, finally, to ask you, is this person Home Bargains or B&M Bargains person?
Home Bargains, definitely.
Oh.
Just gut reaction is Home Bargains.
Interesting. Okay, from that, see, Sam, I don't know, I think from your responses, I could tell you were, like, hesitating at points, and like, what am I supposed to say? And, like, I don't buy you, especially when you said you pronounced Lyme Regis wrong as Lyme Regis.
I'm from North, it's bloody sad.
Nah, I don't think so. Connie, I quite liked your explanations, but I think you were thinking of someone else because you were getting very detailed on your explanations of things. So I think you have a lot of detail in the subject, but perhaps just slapped a name on it. So I think, Nina, you the real person. So I think.
No.
Oh, you're definitely correct about with your guess about me. I just like made stuff up and like mixed it with one of my lecturers that's actually existing.
So it was me, yeah, the person you wiped out first.
I mean, the mispronouncing, if he's read it from an article, that's like...
it's very
you don't get the pronunciation from an article.
It did hurt, though, when you said, like, Lyme Regis, because I'm from near there. Lyme Regis is just, like, down the road.
This round is on Dom Pedro II of Brazil. So, Sam, take it away.
Okay. Nina, who is Dom Pedro II of Brazil?
Dom Pedro II of Brazil was the king of Brazil in like the 1600s, and he was one of the first to kind of travel into Europe and kind of be like, hey, I'm from this country, it's called Brazil, and it's really cool. And then I was like, cool, we'll go there and like 10 or 20 years and exploit you and kill all your people. Which is stereotypically what happened in all of the, well, not stereotypically, historically what happened in all of the Americas. Okay. White people are horrible.
Okay. And Samir, who is Dom Pedro II of Brazil?
Dom Pedro II of Brazil is the second and last emperor of Brazil. I think he reigned and lived in the early 1800s, roughly. And he was deposed by a military coup, turning Brazil into a republic, and banning and outlawing slavery as well in Brazil.
Okay, interesting. Connie, who is Dom Pedro II?
He was a preacher in Rio de Janeiro, and he is known for starting soup kitchens and organizing help for the poor, and organizing all the social stuff. Founded a charity that builds little huts for homeless people to sleep in.
Nice. He sounds like a nice guy. So, Nina, he was an explorer that went to Europe, but he was also the king. Did he voyage on his own, or did he have a crew? Did he send out a team?
He had a ton of people with him. He had a lot of brothers and sisters and a lot of kids. So if he died, it wouldn't have been the worst thing because they had plenty of people to take over for him.
Yeah, the king dies. It's fine. We've got replacements.
We've got replacements. Yeah, if you could come on, you imagine the ship. This was a big ship, and it was covered in gold. Because if you were passing, you were wow, I think there's a king on that ship.
Must have been great for pirates. Samir, he was the last emperor, and he outlawed slavery. What other great achievements did he accomplish?
I don't actually know. I just know he's fondly remembered by Brazilian people because he was taken in a coup before his time. Brazil only recently became independent from it when his dad was the first emperor, independent ruler of Brazil. So started to industrialize Brazil and make it more what we know today of it. So yeah.
Okay. And finally, Connie, this peaceful man. What happened to him in the end? Why did he get a title such as Dom II of Brazil?
I don't know his cause of death. It said that he died at the age of 62 years, but I didn't read why. And his title, he did a lot of work for the community. It's his religious name, and I assume that was Dom Pedro the First. I don't know anything about him though, because the article was not about that guy.
Fair enough. I'll throw in one wacky question each. So let's go to Nina first. If Dom Pedro was a pizza delivery man, what would be his favorite pizza?
That's the thing. I think Dom Pedro, he likes to keep things adventurous. I think he'd pushed the boat out with the slight adventurous and the slight controversy of a Hawaiian pizza with the whole does pineapple belong on a pizza? He would be I reckon he would fight people on that because
I can see that.
Seems like a guy who's adventurous and doesn't go with the norm because he was do you know what? I'm going to go sail around the world.
Okay. I like that answer. Samir, is Dom Pedro II more of a hunter or a gatherer, and why?
Ooh. I'd say he's more of a gatherer. He's not a confrontational man. He's more of a scholarly type person. So he'd rather just learn nature and get along with nature rather than killing and destroying stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Finally, Connie, do you think Dom II believes in Bigfoot?
I do not think so.
Okay. So, these are really good answers. I mean, all of them. Nina, I'm gonna have to say it's not you, purely because I just can't see a king leaving his kingdom to go out in a boat to Europe. Samir, again, some mild flaws that I just don't believe that. Yeah. But then there's also Connie. I just can't see a peacemaker, a soup kitchen man getting a title such as Dom Pedro II of Brazil. So I'm going to bring it back to Samir. I'm going to say it's Samir.
Yeah. I was the one.
I got it right!
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. And yes, before anyone asks, I was making little notes as to who said what.
I'm liking it.
So, thank you to Samir, Sam, Connie, and Nina for taking part in that. It sounds like everyone had a great time, and we'll be doing some more games for future episodes, so see what we can come up with.
So thanks again to everyone that took part in the game, and also thank you to everyone listening and supporting the podcast. If you would like to find out more about us or want to help out, you can find us on the SSAGO Discord under the podcast channel. And if your club would like to take part in the podcast with a segment, fill in the form found in the show notes. Bye!